Let's talk about self-care for actors, specifically before and after rehearsal. Hi, I'm Emery. I'm a musical theater educator, director, choreographer, enthusiast, and I would love to share some tips with you on how to make sure you're taking care of your best self as an actor before and after you go to rehearsal. The first step is hypothetically the easiest one, and yet also the hardest, is taking good care of ourselves physically in order to be able to be present mentally and physically at rehearsal. Things like getting enough sleep, drinking enough water, eating a healthy meal before rehearsals, things that nourish our body so that theater can then nourish our soul. And for me to just rattle off those tips is very easy. Well, eat well and drink lots of water and get enough sleep. But we are people with people lives, and those two things very rarely overcross easily. So when you can, to the best of your ability, make sure you're staying hydrated, make sure you're eating well, and make sure you're getting as much sleep as you can so that your body is in the best physical shape it can be to come into the rehearsals and create art. My second tip for self-care as an actor before and after rehearsal is having a transition activity. Something that takes you from your day, from your 9 to 5, from your being a parent, from whatever that you did all day, into the evening with your cast and your crew playing and making theater. So some suggestions of activities that are a nice transition could be a meditation, could be going for a walk, could be listening to specific music on your way to rehearsal to get you in the right mind frame. If you have more transition activities, by all means, comment them below. Let's help each other out. I would love to see what people do to shake off their day before heading into rehearsals. And then you also need to use those transition activities out of the rehearsal afterwards. The goal is to maybe have a meditation you can do afterwards, or again, have some music that is specifically cool down music when you're coming out of rehearsal and need to transition back into real life. Go for a walk post-rehearsal. Something that takes you out of now the character and the rehearsal mindset and puts us back into life and back into where we need to be to function as our everyday humans. The next tip is straightforward. You need to warm up and you need to cool down. Athletes always do this before they practice, and it's just as important for us to do it as artists. Physically, we need to warm up our bodies. You should be stretching, you should be engaging your muscles, get your blood pumping a little bit. Coming into rehearsal dead cold is a really hard place to come from, and you might struggle to leap off from there. If you come in with your blood pumping and your body moving and already engaged, that is the most excellent place to create from. The other thing you need to warm up is your voice, even if you aren't doing a musical, even if you're doing a play. I warmed up my voice before recording this video. These are our tools, and we want to make sure they're well oiled. So doing a safe, gentle warm-up in and out as well, you need a cool down, is a really good way to take care of yourself as an actor. So before you head to rehearsal, and maybe that's your transition activity, maybe you put on some specific music and you stretch. But whatever it is, come into rehearsal warm, and then after rehearsal, stretch and cool out. Same thing. Take our bodies down, get out of the high intensity feeling of rehearsal, and back to a grounded place where we can human. My next self-care tip is for those of us with busy racing minds all the time, and I have a feeling that's a lot of us creatives. I keep a rehearsal journal so that things like notes that I was given by the director or character thoughts that happen throughout the day or things like that, I can jot down in the journal and then they are out of my head. I don't have to keep being like, I need to remember that next time I talk to my director, or I need to try that the next time we're playing with this scene. Jot it down, and then pre-rehearsal, go back over what you wrote over the last little while. After rehearsal, write down all your director's notes, so you're not laying in bed in the middle of the night going, right, I'm supposed to move downstage on that line. Write it in your book, take it out of your mind, and then when you go to rehearsal, you can pick it up, read it, and get back into where you were. This stops us from having a constant haze of notes and thoughts in our brain around a character or a show that we're doing. If we can put it on paper, jot it down, have it somewhere solidified, we can then bring it up again nice and easy, but it's not just floating here for those of us with multiple facets that we have to do in our lives, jobs, mom, other creative endeavors alongside rehearsals that we're doing for community theater or anything like that. So if you have a full brain and you're finding the noise of rehearsal too much, get a journal. Okay, I'm not a journaler. That's something I really struggle with. I'm working on as an artist, but this is very specific point of journaling. It's writing down things and thoughts, directors, characters, anything that has to do with this rehearsal process goes in that journal. Pick it up, refresh. After rehearsal, write it down, thoughts away, and you can decompress. The reason I'm going through all of these tips and tricks is that we want to make sure we're taking care of ourselves. If we're playing super intense characters on stage, that's great and fun as an artist, but we need to make sure we don't bring our day into the rehearsal hall and then we don't bring our character home with us. We want to make sure there's a differentiation between those things so that when we step into the rehearsal space, we are there, present, ready to drop into character and create. But when it's time to go home at the end of rehearsal, we can shed that and leave that in that space and go back to being ourselves with safety and with care for our hearts. The goal is to leave work at work and home at home and be present in the rehearsal space. And then when you leave the rehearsal space, be present at home. So many general self-care tips apply to being a creative as well. The better you feel about yourself, the more creative you can feel. These are just some very specific tips that we can do before and after rehearsals that can make us better actors and better creators in the rehearsal hall. So again, reminder, eating healthy, drinking water, getting enough sleep, having a transition activity both into and out of rehearsal, whether it's music, meditation, walking, whatever it is, pick an activity, something that transitions you into and out of. Warm up and cool down, physically and vocally. Keep a journal or a reflection book, somewhere you can write your character notes, your director notes, your random midnight can't sleep notes, getting them out of your head and onto paper so that you can focus on everything that's outside of rehearsal and then reflect and review and go into rehearsal well primed. I hope these tips were helpful to keep home life and work life at home and rehearsal life at rehearsal. Every week I put out theater tips and tricks, so if that sounds like something you would enjoy, please hit the like and subscribe buttons. I would love to have you on our journey. And thank you so much for hanging out with me today.